Hello, friends. Have you ever noticed that in this world some people keep rising higher and higher, while many others remain stuck in the same place for years? Both have the same amount of time. Their opportunities are often similar. Sometimes even their circumstances are almost the same. Yet one person slowly begins to soar upward, while another remains trapped within their own limits. The real difference is rarely in circumstances. It is in thinking. Our thinking decides the direction in which our life will move. Some people see life as a struggle where every challenge stops them, but others look at the same challenges and become stronger because of them. This difference is what separates an ordinary mindset from a powerful one. If you observe nature carefully, you will notice a fascinating example: the eagle. This bird is not unique only because of its strength. What truly makes it different is its approach, its perspective, and its behavior. There are many birds in the world that fly in flocks, make noise, and spend their lives chasing one another. But the eagle is not like those birds. It often flies alone. It flies at great heights. And most importantly, it goes where other birds do not dare to go. That is why many people do not see the eagle as just a bird. They see it as a symbol of a mindset. If you observe life closely, you will notice that there are often two types of thinking. One mindset prefers safety. It wants to move with the crowd and avoid every risk. The other mindset looks higher, thinks further ahead, and instead of fearing circumstances, tries to understand them and move forward. This second way of thinking is what we can call the eagle mindset. But here an important question arises. If the eagle mindset is so powerful, why don't most people think this way? Why do so many people live far below their true potential? And why do some people slowly break their limits and reach extraordinary heights? The answer often lies not in our habits, but in our mindset. When a person believes they are limited, their behavior begins to reflect that belief. But when a person begins changing their thinking, their decisions begin to change. Their goals begin to change. And eventually, their entire life begins to change. This is where the story of the eagle mindset truly begins. Because the eagle does not fly high only because its wings are strong. It flies high because it does not believe it belongs on the ground. And perhaps this is an important question for all of us as well. Do we think like the birds that simply fly with the crowd? Or do we have the courage to think like the eagle that sees the sky not as a limit, but as a beginning? To understand the answer, we first need to understand what a weak mindset looks like, and why it is often the very thing that prevents people from moving forward. And this is where we begin understanding the mentality that keeps most people grounded. A weak mindset does not appear suddenly. It develops slowly, through small habits, repeated thoughts, and beliefs that we accept as truth without questioning them. Many people want to achieve something great in life. They dream, they make plans, and sometimes they even begin taking action. But after some time, that energy begins to fade. Fear, doubt, and laziness slowly begin taking its place. And this is where the cycle of a weak mindset begins. The first sign of a weak mindset is fear. When a person begins thinking before every decision, "What if I fail?" they gradually start avoiding risks. They choose a safer path, even if that path leads nowhere meaningful. The second sign is following the crowd. Many people do not make their own decisions. They simply do what everyone else is doing. If everyone moves in one direction, they move in the same direction, even if that path is completely different from their own dreams. But the problem is that the crowd is not always moving in the right direction. The third sign is attachment to the comfort zone. A person with a weak mindset does not want to leave their comfort zone. They avoid new experiences, stay away from difficult challenges, and gradually become used to living within a small and limited circle. At first, this feels safe, but over time, this very habit becomes the biggest barrier, because growth always begins where discomfort exists. If you look around, you will notice that many people never truly discover the potential hidden inside them. They begin to accept their limits as reality. They start believing that their circumstances define how far they can go. But the truth is often very different. In most cases, the real problem is not the lack of opportunities. It is a lack of perspective. A weak mindset convinces a person that they cannot become more than they already are. Gradually, this belief turns into a habit, and eventually that habit begins shaping their future. This is why many people work hard for years, yet still fail to move forward. Their efforts exist, but their thinking remains limited. But nature also shows us a different story. There are creatures that do not stop because of circumstances. They move toward higher ground, face challenges directly, and continuously break their limits. The eagle is one of them. It flies in the same sky where other birds fly, but its approach is different. It faces the same winds, yet its perspective is different. And perhaps that difference helps us understand something important, that to fly higher in life, we must first change the way we think. But before we fully understand the eagle mindset, we must first explore the qualities that make the eagle so different from other birds, and how those same qualities can guide human life in a powerful new direction. But when we talk about the eagle, we should not look only at its strength. What truly makes it different is its perspective, the way it sees the world. That perspective is what separates it from other birds. In nature, there are many birds that fly in flocks. They make constant noise, follow one another, and usually remain close to the ground. Their entire life unfolds within the same circle where everyone else exists. But the eagle's approach is completely different. Instead of flying in flocks, it often prefers to fly alone. Its flight is not ordinary. It rises to heights in the sky that very few birds ever reach. From that altitude, its perspective changes completely. Once it reaches that height, it sees things from a viewpoint that birds flying lower simply cannot experience. That is its greatest strength, vision. It is often said that the eagle can see from very far away. It focuses on its target with such clarity that no matter how great the distance, its eyes remain fixed on it. If we connect this quality with human life, an interesting insight appears. Many people lose direction in life because their vision is not clear. They stay busy every day doing different things, but they are not sure where they are truly heading. Their attention gets divided among many small distractions. But people with an eagle-like mindset often recognize their goals from afar. They know where they want to go, and they continue moving in that direction with consistency. Another important quality of the eagle is patience. It does not rush constantly in search of prey. Often it flies high in the sky for long periods, simply observing. It waits for the right moment, and when the opportunity appears, it dives with full strength. This behavior teaches us another powerful lesson about life. Being busy all the time does not guarantee success. Sometimes waiting for the right moment, understanding the situation, and then taking decisive action in the right direction is far more important. That is why the eagle is not only a symbol of strength, but also a balanced thinking. It does not rush. It does not panic. It simply recognizes the right opportunity and then moves forward without hesitation. If we observe carefully, the same qualities appear in people who achieve extraordinary heights in life. Instead of chasing every small opportunity, they stay focused on their true goals. And perhaps this is the first real sign of the eagle mindset: clear vision and patience. But the story of the eagle does not end there. There's another quality in its life that makes it even more unique. This quality is not just about strength or vision, it is about courage. And that courage teaches us something important. Reaching real heights requires facing fear, not escaping from it. When we observe the eagle's flight carefully, another fascinating detail appears: its courage. This courage does not come only from strength, but from the confidence it has in its own abilities. Many birds try to hide when storms arrive. They wait for the wind to calm down. But the eagle behaves differently. It does not retreat from the storm. In fact, it often uses the powerful winds of storm to rise even higher. This is not just a natural phenomenon. It is a deep message. In life, situations often become difficult unexpectedly. Challenges appear, plans fall apart, and the path ahead begins to look harder than before. At such moments, many people stop moving forward. They wait for circumstances to improve. But some people think differently. They turn those very circumstances into part of their growth. This is where the eagle mindset truly begins. Because the eagle mindset is not only about thinking big, it is about understanding fear, recognizing personal limits, and gradually having the courage to move beyond them. Many people believe that courage means the absence of fear, but the truth is slightly different. Real courage means moving forward despite fear. When a person faces a difficult decision for the first time, many questions appear in their mind. Can I really do this? What if I fail? Is taking this risk the right choice? These questions are natural, but people with an eagle mindset do not allow these questions to become obstacles. They understand them, accept them, and still take steps toward their goals. This difference slowly begins separating a person from the crowd. Another unique quality of the eagle is its ability to focus on very few things. It does not get caught up in every small movement around it. Its attention remains fixed on its target. Even if hundreds of activities are happening below, its focus remains only on what truly matters. This quality is extremely valuable in human life. In today's world, our attention is easily scattered. Mobile phones, social media, and countless small worries divide our energy in many directions. But people with an eagle mindset learn to control their attention. They understand that reacting to everything is not necessary. They focus on their goals and gradually learn to ignore the surrounding noise. That is why the eagle mindset is not only about strength or courage. It is also a story of clarity, patience, and focus. And when these three qualities come together, a person stops drifting along with circumstances and begins shaping the direction of their own life. But the most fascinating aspect of the eagle mindset is still ahead. Because in the life of the eagle, there is another behavior that teaches us something profound, that sometimes, in order to move forward, we must be willing to leave our old form behind. When we talk about the eagle mindset, the very first quality that appears is vision. The eagle is often known for its sharp eyesight. It is said that it can recognize its target from a great distance. Whether it is flying high above or circling through the vast sky, its eyes remain fixed on the thing it wants to achieve. That is its greatest strength. But if we see this only as a natural ability, we may miss its deeper meaning. Because the eagle's vision is not just about the power of its eyes. It is also part of its behavior. When it flies across the sky, its attention does not wander in every direction. It does not react to every small movement. It focuses only on what truly matters. If we connect this quality to human life, we begin to notice a powerful difference. Many people fail to move forward in life simply because their direction is unclear. They work hard every day and stay busy with many activities, but they are not sure what their true goal is. Sometimes they move in one direction, but after some time their attention shifts somewhere else. New ideas and opportunities attract them, and gradually their focus begins to break. That is why, even with hard work, results sometimes fail to appear. But people with an eagle mindset approach life differently. They begin by clarifying their goals. They know exactly where they want to go. And once their vision becomes clear, they continue moving in that direction with consistency. This does not mean their path is free from obstacles. Challenges appear in their journey as well. Sometimes the path itself may need adjustment, but their core direction remains unchanged. That clarity is what separates them from the rest. If you observe carefully, many problems in life arise simply because we try to focus on everything. We become influenced by other people's opinions, intimidated by circumstances, and gradually drift away from our own goals. But the eagle mindset shows a different path. It teaches us that the first step in life is deciding our direction. When direction becomes clear, decisions also become easier. Small distractions no longer pull us away. We begin to understand that not every opportunity is meant for us, and not every voice deserves a response. That is why, to rise like the eagle, we must first strengthen our vision, because when the goal is clear, even if the journey is long, our steps continue moving in that direction. But the eagle mindset is not limited only to clear vision. It is also connected to another quality that many people find difficult: the courage to move forward alone. When we talk about the second important quality of the eagle mindset, it is the courage to fly alone. If you observe nature carefully, you will notice that many birds always fly in flocks. They stay together, follow one another, and usually do what the rest of the group is doing. For them, it feels safe because staying with the crowd is always easier. But the eagle behaves differently. It often prefers to fly alone. Its way of flying is different from the rest. Instead of staying low with the crowd, it rises alone into the heights of the sky. This is not just a habit. It is part of its nature. When we connect this behavior with human life, a powerful truth begins to appear. Many people fail to move forward in life because they constantly wait for approval from others. They observe what everyone else is doing, and then move in the same direction. Following the crowd feels easy because the responsibility feels smaller. But the problem is that the crowd often moves toward average paths. If everyone does exactly what everyone else is doing, the results will also be similar to what everyone else receives. That is why extraordinary results often belong to people who are willing to choose a different path. This path is not always easy. When someone thinks differently or takes a different decision, it may be difficult for others to understand in the beginning. People may question them, criticize them, or say that their path is wrong. At that moment, many people change their decisions, but people with an ego mindset think differently. They understand that every new direction seems strange at first. Every new idea appears unusual in the beginning, but if the goal is clear and the person understands their decision, they can continue moving forward step by step. Flying alone does not always mean loneliness. Sometimes it simply means being on a journey where a person clarifies their ideas, recognizes their strengths, and strengthens their direction. Even history shows that many great ideas began with only a few people. They were not the ideas of the crowd. They were the ideas of individuals who had the courage to think differently. That is why the ego mindset teaches us that sometimes we must step a little away from the crowd. This distance allows us to hear our own voice. When a person is constantly surrounded by others' opinions, they may never truly understand their own thinking. But when they pause, step aside for a moment, and reflect, clarity begins to appear. And perhaps that is why rising like the eagle requires not only strength and vision, but also the courage to fly alone for a while. But the eagle mindset has another aspect that makes this journey even more fascinating. Because the eagle does not only fly alone, it also faces difficult circumstances in a completely different way. Another quality of the eagle's life sets apart from other birds, its behavior toward storms. In nature, when the weather suddenly changes, strong winds begin to blow, and storms form in the sky. Most birds start searching for safety. They sit on tree branches or move closer to the ground to hide. For them, a storm is a danger that must be avoided. But the eagle behaves differently. When powerful winds rise in the sky, the eagle often uses those winds instead of fighting against them. Rather than struggling against the force of the storm, it understands the direction of the wind and spreads its wings in a way that allows the wind itself to lift it higher. That is the moment when its perspective becomes different from the rest of the birds. While other birds are trying to escape the storm, the eagle turns that same storm into an opportunity. If we connect this image to human life, it reveals a powerful message. In life, there are moments when circumstances suddenly become difficult. Plans change, paths become complicated, and sometimes it feels as if everything is working against us. At such times, many people stop moving forward. They wait for circumstances to calm down. They believe they will continue their journey once conditions become easier. But some people think differently. Instead of escaping the situation, they try to understand it. They look for hidden opportunities within those challenges and learn from them. This way of thinking slowly makes a person stronger, because challenges will always exist in life. There is no path that is completely free from difficulty. The real difference lies in how we see those difficulties. If we see every challenge only as a problem, we begin to fear it. But if we see it as a lesson or an opportunity, the same experience can make us stronger than before. That is why some of the hardest moments in life often become the greatest teachers. The eagle mindset teaches us not to run away from storms, but to understand them, because when we learn to face circumstances, we slowly realize that every difficulty is making us stronger. And that way of thinking is what lifts a person from the ground toward greater heights. But the story of the eagle does not end here. There is another behavior in its life that teaches us an equally important lesson, that sometimes moving forward requires more than facing challenges. Sometimes it requires changing ourselves. Another aspect of the eagle's life may seem unusual at first, but when we understand it deeply, it reveals an important principle of life, the ability to renew oneself. In nature, every living being changes with time, but it is often said that at a certain stage of its life, the eagle faces a difficult decision. This decision is not easy, yet it plays an important role in determining its future. Over time, its wings become heavier, its flight is no longer as swift as before, and its strength does not feel the same. At that moment, It stands between two paths: either accept its limitations slowly or go through a process of transformation. It is said that during this phase, the ego withdraws into solitude for a while. Instead of immediately trying to fly again, it goes through a period of renewal. Gradually, it lets go of its old feathers, rebuilds its strength, and over time its flight begins again with renewed energy. Even if parts of this story are symbolic, the message within it is deeply meaningful. In life, there are moments when we realize that our old habits, old thinking patterns, or old ways of living are no longer helping us move forward. We continue living in familiar ways. Yet deep inside we know that change is necessary. But change is rarely easy. Adopting new thinking, leaving behind old habits, and reshaping ourselves into something better all require time and patience. That is why many people avoid this process. They continue doing what they have always done, even when it no longer helps them grow. But the ego mindset shows us another path. It reminds us that sometimes growth requires leaving behind our old version of ourselves. The version that once made us feel safe can sometimes become our greatest limitation. When a person begins to understand that change is not something to fear, but a natural part of growth, a new energy begins to emerge. They start asking themselves important questions. Is my thinking still the same as it was years ago? Are my habits helping me move forward, or are they holding me back? Am I willing to become a person who can change with circumstances? Within these questions, transformation begins. And perhaps this is one of the most important messages of the ego mindset, that the person who has the ability to change themselves is the one who can continue flying high for a long time. But another question naturally arises. If vision, independence, courage, and transformation are all part of the ego mindset, can these qualities together create a new path in life? And perhaps the answer begins to appear when we observe how a person's life starts to change once these qualities are truly embraced. When a person slowly begins to understand the qualities of the ego mindset, the first change does not appear outside. It appears within. In the beginning, this change may not seem very big. It starts with small shifts in thinking. Where a person once saw every challenge as a problem, they now begin to see it as an opportunity. Where the fear of failure once held them back, they now begin to understand that every experience can teach something valuable. This is the moment when thinking slowly begins to change. As vision becomes clearer, the direction of life also starts to appear more clearly. Instead of chasing every small thing, a person begins to understand what truly matters. That is where focus begins. And when focus develops, energy stops scattering in different directions and starts moving toward a single path. Many people work hard in life, but their attention is divided across many directions. Sometimes they're influenced by other people's opinions. Sometimes they feel discouraged by circumstances. And sometimes small failures weaken their confidence. But the ego mindset slowly begins to change these patterns. A person starts to understand that responding to every voice is not necessary. Not every path is meant for them, and not every opportunity is connected to their goal. This realization creates a kind of mental freedom. Now they begin making decisions according to their own understanding instead of following the crowd. They realize that sometimes the right path is the one very few people understand in the beginning. Gradually, this way of thinking strengthens confidence. When a person learns to take responsibility for their own decisions, they feel less dependent on the approval of others. They learn from their mistakes, draw inspiration from their successes, and begin to see every experience as a part of their growth. This is the process where a person's perspective begins to transform. They no longer simply react to circumstances. They begin to shape the direction of their own life. This is where the real effect of the ego mindset becomes visible. It does not suddenly turn someone into an extraordinary person. Instead, it slowly develops a way of thinking that gives a person the courage to step beyond average limitations. They begin to realize that flying high is not only the result of strength, it is a result of clarity, courage, and continuous transformation. And when these three qualities come together, a person does not merely live life. They begin to understand it. But one final and important question still remains. If the ego mindset is so powerful, is it possible only for a few people? Or can every individual develop this way of thinking in their own life? Perhaps the answer appears when we understand that real transformation always begins with a small decision. Because if we look carefully at everything we have discussed so far, one thing becomes clear. The eagle mindset is not something a person is born with. It is not a special power possessed by only a few individuals. In reality, it is a choice. It is a decision that gradually transforms the way a person thinks. Every person reaches moments in life where they must decide what kind of thinking they will adopt. Some choose the path that feels safest. They follow the crowd, avoid risks, and slowly live within the boundaries of what is familiar. But some people choose differently. They begin to understand that life is not only about staying safe. They recognize their limitations and then slowly start moving beyond them. That is the moment where the eagle mindset begins. This beginning is rarely dramatic. Sometimes it starts with a small decision, a new goal, a new habit, or the courage to face an old fear. Gradually, these small decisions begin to create a new direction. When a person starts changing their thinking, their decisions begin to change. When decisions change, habits begin to change. And when habits change, the direction of life also begins to change. That is why real transformation always begins from within. The eagle mindset reminds us that reaching great heights requires more than strong wings. It requires vision, courage, and the belief that encourages a person to rise again even after falling many times. Because in the end, the sky does not belong to those who only keep looking at the ground. The sky belongs to those who have the courage to look upward. And perhaps that is the most powerful message of this entire discussion. Every person carries within the potential to rise above the crowd. The only difference is that some people discover that potential, while others never search for it. So the real question is not whether the eagle mindset is possible. The real question is whether we are ready to adopt it. If you found this idea inspiring, and if this video made you reflect even a little about your own thinking, make sure to give this video a like. And if you enjoy exploring deep ideas and meaningful book insights like this, do not forget to subscribe to the channel so that upcoming videos reach you first. And do share in the comments, according to you, what is the most important quality of the eagle mindset? Because sometimes a single idea is enough to change the direction of a life.